Hey, Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps, and I have the big man himself sitting next to me.
Sugar Hill.
And Sugar Hill. Thank you guys for coming down first and foremost. This is a great exclusive for me to have you guys both sat here speaking to me. So how are you?
Doing great. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad you designed this 2-for-1 deal here.
Exactly. How are you, Tyson?
I'm good. I'm alive and well, out of trouble, and staying healthy and in shape.
Well, obviously, I haven't spoken to you pretty much since lockdown. You seem to be in great spirits, in great shape. You've kept yourself quite busy. You've also started the Tyson Fury Foundation. Before we get into all of the boxing technical side of things, do you want to talk a bit about the foundation and why you created it?
Yeah, the foundation is not officially open right now. Still in the process of being open, lawyers on it, that sort of stuff. But I have opened my gym, my boxing gym, where we're working on a daily basis. Why have I opened it? To give children in the area, or wherever they're from, they want to come down, wherever, a chance, an opportunity in life to do something like I did, to maybe through boxing or football or sports or something. I'm working very closely with another charity, which I can't reveal yet because we've not broadcasted it to the world. But it's going to be good, you know. We're going to have plenty of opportunity there for children and other sports people.
Well, very good. I mean, I always love to see that. I think that there's no better way of giving back than giving to the kids.
For sure. And I always wanted a gym of my own where I could just go in, have the key, do what I want to do and then get out of there, rather than waiting on other people's times and other people opening gyms and stuff. So now I've got my gym in my own area where I live. It's pretty easy to work out and box quite a lot.
All right, so I'm super curious because I know that Emanuel Steward said that you had called him at one point and said, I have this guy in my gym named Tyson Fury, and he's looking for you. Can we talk about the very first time you met a young Tyson Fury?
Well, it was just a routine day in the gym in Detroit, the Crunk gym. And I was in the ring training, and I remember there's a guy at the door named Bam. So he always would introduce himself to everybody and introduce that person to the gym. And that day, Bam, he was hollered out to me and said, hey, Hill, this is a guy at the gym, this big old guy at the gym, talking about he going to be the next world champion, heavyweight world champion. And I'm in the ring training somebody, and normally I don't like to be bothered. So I look over there and I'm like, big deal. Like, you know, somebody coming to the gym saying they want to, be the next heavyweight world champion. And at that time, Vladimir Klitschko was the world champion. So, introduced me to Tyson, and then Tyson, he wanted to work out, so he worked out a bit that day, and I'm watching him move around, and he's moving like one of these little welterweights, you know, so it kind of impressed me. And he ended up leaving or whatever, and ended up meeting up with Emanuel later on, and the rest is history.
Do you remember that moment?
Very much so. I said to the taxi driver from the airport, take me to the Cronk gym. Didn't have a phone number, didn't have an address to where I was going. I just rocked up at the airport, Detroit City, let's go. Gets to the taxi driver and he says, takes me to this place. It wasn't the Cronk gym anymore, it was closed down. So I said, shit, basically. Try and find out where the next one is. So he took me to where it was. I said, wait here 5 minutes, I'm going to go in and come back out and tell you if everything's okay, or we're going back to the airport. So goes in, says what I said to the Sugar Hill, and then I goes back out and said, well, cool. And he drove away. And that was it. Like he said, the rest was history.
Yeah, I remember Emanuel said that you showed up with just a bag on your shoulder, and he didn't even know that you were coming.
That's right.
He said he thought you weren't coming.
That's right. There was I didn't say I was going because I never had the phone number. The phone number that I had for Emanuel like months before, say 6 months before, was no longer working anymore. So I thought, it's now or never. It was October 2009, 9 or 10. And I thought, you know, if I don't go, I'm going to regret it forever. So I need to get the experience and find out what it's like to go over there. So got on the plane, rocked up. But I was kind of lucky and almost meant to be because I didn't know at that time that Emanuel used to travel around the world doing HBO commentary and town to town and training camp to training camp. I was just had in my mind that, he's going to be there at the Cronk gym in Detroit. So I was kind of lucky that he wasn't working at that time. So,
Did you guys get to hang out at all? Like, do any...
Well, we had a couple business dinner meetings and things like that.
Okay. Look at that mischievous smile.
No, we were together every day, like, you know, the time that he was there. Andy happened to be out of town at that particular time when he arrived, but up until that point, it was just me and him.
So this linking up again must have just been like two old friends finally getting the opportunity to sort of circle back around and just partner up for the first. Yeah, because I know that Emanuel said that had he not been training Klitschko, he would have trained you. So what does it feel like to sort of fill the shoes that Emanuel always wanted to fill?
For me, it feels good. It just reminds me of listening to all the things that he said over my lifetime and watching these things, start to happen. A lot of things that he's mentioned in boxing and in life, these things are still coming true. And for me and Tyson to be working together is it just reminds me of one of the things, some of the things and lessons that he's taught me, and just listening to him talk and saying, one of the things he always says is always treat people good. You never know what's going to happen in life, and then here we are again working together.
Let's talk a bit about Emanuel's sort of, I don't want to say predictions, but he always had this strong belief in you. He always said that you were going to be world champion. Can we talk a bit about some of the, I don't know, is it safe to say it's predictions, premonitions, whatever it was that he had?
It was prophecy, wasn't it?
Prophecy,
because
there we go.
he predicted that me and Deontay Wilder were the best two of the crop of all the young heavyweights coming up back in 2011, before either of us were champions or even looked like being champions. So yeah, it was like a Notre Dame moment. I often look at that video where he sat down in Austria somewhere, training camp, and they ask him about the division at the time. And at the time, David Price was really hot. Robert Alenius, there was loads of Russian guys coming through. There was a few different American guys, but Hearn was nearly a world champion at that time. And there was quite a few guys, and he said, out of all of them, he said, you need a certain type of mental toughness. And he said, I don't see the rest of them, only Tyson and having the mental toughness of all of them. And there's another guy that nobody really talks about in America called Deontay Wilder. And he said if he gets a solid training program, he can be a world champion too. So out of all the guys, there's been 20 top heavyweights back then. He named the two that went on to become world champion.
Yeah, that's crazy
to
think about. Because like you were saying, he just always sort of said things that we've seen come to pass. It's pretty incredible, and it speaks just sort of how intelligent he always was when it came to the sport of boxing. One thing I want to say was that not only did he call you the dominant heavyweight, he said that you were going to be the one after Klitschko to dominate the heavyweight division.
That's right.
And to see where you're sitting now, does that still kind of blow your mind a bit?
It does blow your mind, but it's all hard work, dedication, determination, sacrifice. That's what I always say to kids. They say, I want to be a champion boxer. You can't just be a champion boxer. You've got to put all those things in. Hard work, dedication, sacrifice. Everything has to roll into one for even to be considered to work. And it's a long, long time of practicing the same stuff every day for years. Like I turned pro in this game 2008. We're now in 2020. That's 12 years as a professional. Although I had 2.5 years in exile. Still a long time, just under 10 years as a pro active, which is pretty long time, I'd say.
Emanuel said that...
Still I'm getting it wrong. I'm still learning. For 10 years doing the same job, day job every day.
Emanuel had said that during the time that he did work with you, it seems like you didn't really know what it was that you wanted. What do you think he meant by that? Was there a time in your early stages of your career where you thought that maybe you didn't want to be a boxer, or that you weren't quite sure which direction you wanted to go in?
No, what he probably meant by that was I was in America training in Detroit, and I had, was it 3 or 4 weeks with you guys in Detroit? And then I went home, and then we went back to Austria for 2 weeks. Then I had to fly away to Quebec City in Canada and do a fight out there. All the time I still had a wife and child at home that I was away from. So in order for me to work with Emanuel, I had to follow him around the world from champions training camp to training camp. And it wasn't like I was a young single guy who had no responsibility. And I had to pay bills at home, and I had to provide for my wife and child. I couldn't just run around the world in training camp after training camp. So that's why he said he didn't know really what he wanted, because if I would have knew what I wanted back then, it'd have been, okay, I'm going to train here in America, I'm going to follow you around from training camp to training camp. But at that time I wasn't in a position where I didn't have the money to do that. I didn't have that type of money where I could just go around and leave my kids and wife at home. I needed to work still. I had a day job too. I was still working.
I was going to ask you that. I think that's something I've never asked you before was what was it that you were doing to sort of pay the bills in between trying to become a fighter?
Yeah. Because there was long periods of time where I wasn't boxing, inactivity at the highest amount. I would be selling cars and stuff, car dealing, that sort of thing.
Could you imagine like 12 years later, 12 years later, you're like, that guy sold me a car.
Yeah, I sold a few cars, cut a few trees, anything to try and get a few quid to pay me bills and look after my family. And that's where it all went. It was boxing ain't easy. Like I say, even in a heavyweight division, even when you're a highly touted prospect, even when you've got so much expectation on you, people just don't come and say, oh, there's 10 grand, go pay your bills. You got to work and you got to earn it, especially if you're not fighting regularly. See, I may have only had like 2 fights a year or something, and 2 fights a year at low level don't cut it, does it? As we all know, it's pretty tough. So yeah, at that time I wasn't in a position to go travelling around and living the life of a young single athlete with a bag on his shoulder. I had responsibility at a young age because I got married at 20. I had Venezuela when I was just turned 21.
At what point in your career were you able to sort of live off of boxing?
Last year. Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't think you can ever live off boxing, really. Can you really ever live off boxing? With boxing for me, comes in one hand and goes out the other. I'm just living day by day. I'm just happy to be alive. Like all that other stuff, like the spoils of war and all the stuff that comes with being a champion and all that. I'm just happy to be alive and be healthy and out of trouble. And I pray to God and I thank God every single night that I had a good day and I'm out of trouble and I'm healthy and I'm still alive. Because the money side of it, okay, it's great to have a few quid, whatever, but plenty of people have got money and I know plenty of people who have got money and they're not happy. So I don't believe it does bring happiness, but what I do brings me happiness, like training every day and keeping fit and running and getting up early and going to bed early. What time was in bed last night, Sean?
8:30.
And I was up at 6:30. So I go to bed early, rise early. I like getting up early and going for a coffee at Costa at the local petrol station. Love it. I love to keep things simple. I drive a truck, a Ford truck. I ain't living some big extravagant lifestyle where I'm flying around on jets and helicopters and stuff. Sugar can tell you that. Live in a normal house, in a normal area, with normal people and normal friends. No big entourages, nothing, just real people, because that's where we live in the real world. Detroit, what's up?
I know that I've been able to see that when we were all on tour together. I got to see that side of you, just how humble you are. When you're in boxing long enough, and I'm sure you know this, you've been around many world champions, there comes a time where people do change. It just happens. You see the transition. You see them when they're basically not famous to world superstars. How do you maintain just sort of being humble? Like, it's easy to get caught up in your own shit.
I've seen it. I've been a boxing historian. I've watched lots of fighters from the past, lots of champions, and, it's all short-lived. Flying Eye in May, shot down in June, like Frank Sinatra said. Flying Eye in April, shot down in June, whatever them words are. Forgive me. Yeah, so, nothing lasts forever. Everything great's got to come to an end sooner or later. So I'm just enjoying the ride and, I'm on my second career here. I've said it many, many times. This is my second shot at being a world champion. So I'm just enjoying it every day. Like the belts and all that sort of thing, I've got all the belts and I've completed the game. I've won every single belt that boxing has to offer. I can't do anything more in boxing now than just treading water and keeping happy and staying healthy, staying alive, staying out of trouble, providing for my family, paying my bills, learning.
Do you feel like you've already sort of hit the pinnacle of your career then?
For sure. You can't go any higher than a 2-time undefeated world champion, the first one in history, may I say. I'm the first 2-time undefeated world heavyweight champion ever, because I ain't lost a fight. No one does that. First guy in history to complete all the belts in the Monopoly, every single one. Never been done before. So, can I do anything more in boxing? Yeah, of course I can. I can just keep going with it. Just keep enjoying the game, because you're a long time retired and you're a long time being a has-been. And no matter, even if you undefeated and you win everything 20 times, when it's over, it's over. You're still a has-been a world champion. They say better to be a has-been than a never has-been. But at the end of the day, I'm enjoying activity and being current today. Because I know when I'm not current anymore, when I'm 40 years old, and all the young champions are coming up and knocking everyone out, I will envy those guys like the yesteryear champions envy me. So I'm just enjoying it. Life experiences on a daily basis. You know, I get to travel around with my guy here, Sugar Hill, all the time, every day, all day, every day. And it is like, when would a guy from Morecambe get to spend time with a random guy from Detroit in the normal world? Right. Only through boxing or sports do we get to see this type of different culture clashes and the way different people are and that.
That's why I'm here. A guy from Detroit. I'm in Morecambe Bay, watching the bay rise and fall twice a day, the tide. I'm obsessed with that right now. I just ride by like a little kid watching the bay empties out completely.
You know, I've never been there, so...
See, that's what I'm trying. I'm spreading the news now. I'm teaching.
Square miles of water.
Really?
It just empties out like an empty bathtub, like
Empty,
pull the plug.
like it's dry. I mean,
See, that would scare me. It would make me think that a tsunami was coming.
And where does the water go? I don't know.
look like if it was hot enough, you would think that it's because it disappears like it's hot. I mean, it's not like it's puddles and it's gone, and the ground's not even, so I don't know where it's gone. Like it's just going into the ground and or evaporating, but it's not that hot there like that.
So at a certain time of the day, does it return?
Twice a day it's tide and it's pulled by the moon.
Oh.
So twice a day it's a tidal bay. So it gets sucked out into the ocean and it gets pulled back in twice a day. It's like 9 meters deep in that bay and then it just goes. I don't know how many gallons of water's in it.
Tyson, if I was there and you didn't tell me that, and I saw the water there, and then the next second I didn't, I'd be freaking out, running inland, thinking a tsunami was coming.
6 hours to go out and then 6 hours to come back in. So it never stopped traveling all day, all night, pull out, pull in.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's working. It's constantly working.
Probably working too hard, I'd say.
All right, so I want to read a quote that Emanuel said, and we've sort of talked about this when we were on tour, but I've never actually got a chance to talk to you about it in our interviews. He said that when...
I'd like to say a big shout out to my long-term sponsor, Diet Coke. Big shout out, you guys. You're the best.
Okay, so Emanuel had said that when he had first met you, he saw that you were going through a lot of emotions with your dad being locked up.
Where did you
and
get
it was
all this from?
this just you know,
I hope you didn't make this up, Michelle.
No, I just swear. It came. So he said that he saw that you were going through a lot of emotions with your father being locked up, and that it was bothering you very much. Could we talk about that time in your life?
Yeah.
And sort of how it impacted you and your direction in boxing?
Yes, I think I was at 7 fights when my dad got locked up. So I was early on in my career. And my dad followed me everywhere around the world, amateur or professional, wherever I went, my dad went with me. So to not have him there for the first time ever, that was quite a shock to the system. But it was what it was. We have to man up, don't we, and crack on with life and deal with the hurdles that we get dealt with. And it's like I always say, it's not how you get knocked down, but how we get back up again and keep moving forward in a positive way. It wasn't good. For the first time in my life, I didn't have to phone my dad like, well, this has gone wrong, or I've not done good in the gym today, or the sparring was terrible, or this fight's pulled out. So I had to turn to other people to talk to like that. I was just married as well. So I didn't have that father figure that I could just talk to. So I had uncles and people like that I was talking to, but it's not the same, is it?
No.
Especially when someone's always there to watch you or turn up to the sessions, and you know what he's like. He's always there talking, isn't he? And whatever.
You gotta love John.
Yeah, for sure.
When you think back at that time, though, and sort of where it left you emotionally, was there a moment where you actually thought, I don't want to do this without him?
Yeah, there was a moment. There was a moment that I didn't want to box anymore. I couldn't be bothered with it. There's been many moments like that in my career. Not just that time. There's been maybe 100 of those moments. But I don't think there'd be many fighters that can actually say that those moments don't go through the mind. I've got to take this call, Tim. Hello, Tim, you're on TV.
What are you up to?
Say hello to Michelle.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Michelle, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. What are you doing this side of the country?
I live here, mate.
Do you, mate?
Yeah, mate. I live in Manchester.
Oh, yeah, I remember you telling me. I thought you moved from here.
Tim, we're just doing an interview. We're in live. Are we still good for 1:20 or something?
Yeah. I'm just coming to Manchester now on a boat. Why didn't you bring Michelle with you?
We'll see.
Okay.
Go on, see you in a bit. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right. So I
Where
know
were we?
we were talking about the feeling of.
Oh yeah,
like,
about the feeling of walking away and whatever. I think there's not many boxers that don't have them feelings throughout our career, but we just keep going and keep training and working away, and without something to train for, then that's when those feelings come to reality. But when you've got a purpose and when you've got a goal, then you don't get those feelings. When you're active, I only used to have those feelings when I was very inactive, and I've had a lot of inactive years in my career. I've been out the game for like nearly years on end. Like I had two and a half years out recently, and then before that one time I was supposed to box David A. That took like a year out of my life. From April 13 to April 14, that was another year inactive. So that's 3.5 years, and then I had another year in between. Derek Chisora and Vladimir Klitschko. So that's another year wasted because that fight got put back. So yeah, inactivity, and then there was years where I was inactive when I was coming up in the game. So you think, am I really doing the right thing? Should I be doing another job? If I put this much effort into any job, I'd be successful at it. So yeah, it's been a long drawn out process, and like I say, doing the same thing day in, day out gets very repetitive and very boring at times. But that's where you spice things up, change things up, and you keep learning.
Sugar, we saw you unlock something in Tyson Fury that we have not been able to see before. What was it exactly? What methods were you guys doing? Because I'm not going to lie. I told him I was worried when he kept saying, I'm going to go for the knockout. And I'm like, so what was it that you did to sort of...
I don't know, really. No, I'm joking. I mean, it's a lot to it. It's not just, I can't just sit here and tell you exactly what I did. Because a lot of it is just knowing the person, knowing his personality. I'm joking around, but I say we're twins because we are alike, kind of like, in a lot of ways, and that's why we get along so well. And, just knowing him and knowing how he reacts to certain things and what he wants. I remember when we first talked about the fight, and I was like, if you want to win for sure, the only for sure the way to win is to get the knockout. And then he was just like, yeah. And I'm like, cool, it makes it easier. But I believe he believes in me because he knows me as well as I know him, and for us to just be together and to work together like this, it just makes it a whole lot easier and a whole lot more fun. I mean, I'm here now, and Mark, and I tell everybody I'm on vacation. I'm not working here. I'm on vacation. I'm spending 2 fortnights with Tyson Fury at home in the house, not at a hotel, or with the family, So for me, it's like I'm part of the family because it was the same treatment that he had when he came to Detroit. He stayed in the house with me and Emanuel. So it was everybody, we were all close. That actually goes a lot further than just I'm in the gym training Tyson and then, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. I mean, so how do I know what makes him laugh, what makes him cry, what makes him, sad, what makes him get up? You need to know a lot more about a person or a fighter if you train them and trying to be and to win at that top level. And that's what Emanuel taught me. He spent a lot of time with his fighters. That's why he can tell. He was able to tell like Tyson's going to be the next top heavyweight. That's running the division and things like that because he studies people. And most people aren't studying people. They just want to hit the pads or just tell you what to do and that's it. But you really should know that person, and that person should know you. You're going into war, and each of you have to trust each other. and that goes a long way.
There's always added pressure for a new trainer. When someone switches a trainer, the reason I say that is because oftentimes the media wants to immediately turn to the trainer if something goes wrong. If he lost, it was because he switched trainers. If he was knocked out, it was because he switched trainers. Did you feel any sense of added pressure because he is arguably one of the biggest superstars in boxing?
I didn't feel any added pressure personally like that, but I mean, I felt it around me, but it doesn't bother me. Same as it doesn't bother him. It makes me get up and go for it. I mean, I don't want to say it's a routine thing, but I take pride in what I do with training. I like to win just as much as he likes to win, and if I do have a fighter that loses, I do take fault at it because I feel like it's some way I should have reached out to that person. I could have done something different. Whether they listen to me or not, it ain't really all their fault. It's a team effort. Because if I'm telling him something and he don't believe in me, I can't just say, oh, it's his fault. Maybe it was something I could have said or done to make him understand me better and for him to believe in what I'm saying.
All right. Well, I want to ask you about some current stuff because I know we're under some time pressures here, so I'm going to shoot them away. Oh, please. Like, it doesn't always go extended interviews.
I don't know why, but it's only you and Coogan that we just have like these long interviews. I don't know how it's even possible, but continue.
All right. So Anthony Joshua made a statement. He said, Fury has been professional much longer than me. He should be looking to retire soon. I'll challenge Fury. I'll challenge Wilder. These guys aren't the biggest names on my record anyway. They are just another heavyweight. What do you have to say to him saying that? Sure, either one.
Yeah, sure, you answer it. Sure,
I'm almost forgetting the question because all I was going to say was Anthony Joshua. He says a lot, so he was supposed to come into training camp and train with us, but I guess that goes to show how far his word goes.
Well said. Yeah.
I wanted some of that.
We wanted some of that action, but he didn't. He said he was coming, and he didn't, so we can't really take what
Are
he
you
said.
talking about when he said, I'll come out and train? Okay.
Yeah, so he didn't, so we can't really take what he says for his word anymore, so it's what it is.
Do you not find his comment to feel disrespectful? I mean, you guys are on good terms, or so it seems like you guys get along.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion, so I have to respect that. I have to respect his opinion. If I'm too old in the tooth and I need to retire, then come and retire me.
Okay. You ran into him in Spain. Was that, like, did you know he was going to be there? Like, or was it just the universe lined it up to where you're literally in the same parking lot?
Me and Paris was having some Italian food on the port in Banús. And we came out, I was driving down the port, and Paris went, "No, there's AJ." I went, "Where?"
What?
She went, "There." And I said, "Oh, yeah." So I said, "Oh, you come here. Let's have a little chat." So we had a little chat for 5 minutes, and that was it, really. Drove on.
What did he say? Because at this point, it was a lot of back and forth on social media.
Didn't really say a lot. We didn't really say much. I just said, don't go underestimating Pulev and make sure you win. I said, because we want to set up this big fight. He's like, yeah, you do the same with Wilder. Let's take care of business. Let's get the fight on. That was it, basically. Good luck and God bless you. Good night. Bye-bye.
Well, Aleksandr Usyk is the next mandatory after Pulev if he's successful against Pulev. He's not willing to budge. So he's not willing to allow the undisputed fight happen between you two. Knowing that, do you plan to, because I know you want to stay active, is the plan to maybe just get the WBC mandatory out of the way, or maybe fight in the WWE, or not fight, is that what you call it, fight? Is that the terminology in WWE? Slam each other down.
Anymore. Who is the mandatory right? Is it Povetkin right now?
Well, right. Obviously, in November, we have the rematch between Povetkin and Dillian Whyte. So either one. But either way, you're going to have a mandatory. Is it sort of like, let's just get the mandatory out of the way? Or
I'm not too sure what's going on with all that sort of stuff. So all I'm concentrating on is Deontay Wilder and the trilogy. What happens with Joshua and his peeps are none of my business, really. I don't really care. Or if they get chinned or knocked out or whatever, there's one bites the dust situation. There's always going to be a positive to come out of it as well. So whatever happens, happens. I've just got to concentrate on me and what I'm doing in my career. Stay active, stay busy, and if the fight happens, see all this undisputed bullshit. I'm not really too convinced about it. I've won every belt there is to win, and having another stack of belts that I already own don't really mean shit to me. So rather than fight all these mandatories that he's got, I'd say just vacate those belts and fight the fight that everyone wants to see. You know, I ain't running from you. I don't care about you. I'll go through you like a hot knife through butter. So, you know, come and fight the big boy, step up to the plate and get knocked out, then go and fight all those easy guys. No, listen, no disrespect to Aleksandr Usyk, great fighter, cruiserweight world champion, probably going to be an heavyweight champion if he fights Joshua in the meantime. But listen, don't take my retirement check, baby. Don't do it. I said to Wilder years ago, I said, don't take my retirement fund. Do not fight Joshua. He's mine. He's my countryman. I'm having him. I'm breaking him in. But it didn't happen. He got broke in by an unlikely suspect. So it was what it was. But, you know.
So you believe that Usyk will beat Joshua?
Yeah, if they fight. But I bet they don't. Because why would he fight Usyk and get paid like 10% of what he can make off the Gypsy King? Forget the belt, vacate it, let them boys fight for the vacant belt, whoever it is, Usyk and Parker, and then come up and fight big time. We're not in this boxing to fight some unknown guys. We're in this boxing to fight the biggest, best fights out there at this level. We're at the top of the game. Fight. May the best man win. Let the games begin. It's a boxing match. What's the worst that can happen? You can lose. Big deal. Get it on.
Eddie Hearn said Joshua knocks you out.
Eddie Hearn says a lot of things, but I don't really believe a word he says. So, but again, I respect his opinion. I respect Johnny Nelson's opinion too, because don't think I haven't seen that, Johnny. Don't come kissing my ass, Johnny, when you see me anymore, because you'll get that. Yeah, listen, you picked your guy, and that's it. No problem. I respect that.
What did you make of Eddie saying that Joshua could knock out Tyson?
It's nothing. It's nothing.
Everyone says they can knock everybody out.
I mean, people on the outside are going to talk. I mean, those two guys have to get in there and fight. They have to both prepare. So I don't know if I don't think Eddie Hearn thought that Povetkin would knock out Dillian White. So I don't know.
Or he didn't think Andy Ruiz would knock out AJ.
Or that. So a lot of or that's, a lot of opinions. Yeah. They're just out there guessing. It's like trying to hit the lotto.
All right. Well, I'm going to close with this, Sugar. You've been around a lot of the biggest heavyweight names in recent history, alongside your uncle. Where does Tyson fall amongst all of them?
You want to put me out there like that?
Right at the motherfucking top.
Very well put.
There we go. Right at the top of the tree.
Tyson is he's at the top, but like he said, he's still learning. So, him being at the top and still learning, he gets to learn, from those two guys. So the way I look at it, he can do nothing but be better than those guys, to a different level, because he's watched those guys' careers and he studies boxing, and to better himself, to be better, much better than them, and that's where I believe he's at right now.
Sorry, I have one more question for you. Okay. When you saw Tyson beat Vladimir Klitschko, tell me what you were thinking.
Yeah, that's it. That was it. I was laughing. I mean, it was not in a funny way.
Were you surprised? Because your uncle spoke so highly of him. He literally said that you are the toughest opponent for Klitschko.
I thought about that too. He had on the magic shoes as well, the crunk shoes. He had the crunk shoes on that Emanuel gave him.
Holes in the bottom of them.
And when I saw the fight, because I didn't see it live, but I saw the fight, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh man, I could see it was trouble. And all I could do was laugh. I was just laughing the whole time, not in a bad way, but that's just my way of expressing, man, he's doing it, So, I didn't, at that point in time, I was more on, Vladimir's side, because Emanuel had just passed, and it was still, Jonathan was training him, so it was still kind of like a close knit, but I was just sitting back laughing. And I was talking with Andy, and then we were both just laughing. And I just looked at looking through my phone, and there was a picture of the day the day after the fight, and me and Andy are on FaceTime, and I got a picture of Andy laughing. I was like, "What's this picture about?" And I checked the date, and I said, "Oh, this is the day after the fight." Me and Andy were just cracking up laughing.
How crazy. I mean, just to think that after all that time, after what your uncle had said, it proved to yet again be true. Well, may he rest in peace, the legend that is Emanuel Steward. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to be here and giving me this exclusive to have you both sitting down. This is our first interview, one of many to come. Do you have anything to say?
No, I'm not a big talker, so you don't have to be worried about me saying something and then asking somebody, how do you feel about what he said?
Okay. I make sure not to do that again. I'm just kidding.
No, that's okay. I know how to answer the question the way I want to, so it's not a problem with me. It's actually interesting. It keeps me sharp, you know, from working in the courts all these years and being a, officer. You gotta know what to say, when to say it.
Okay. Tice? Final words?
I'm just glad that I've got a 12-year serving officer of the law on my side telling me what to say, when to say it.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing what happens in December. Hopefully, Lord willing, we get the fight with Deontay Wilder. We haven't heard much from Deontay. He's been very quiet. We don't know. It could be a good thing. He could be in the gym working hard. Yep.
He's in fantastic shape. He's training hard. He's really motivated for the fight. So we're going to give the fans a great fight again.
And hopefully we'll have crowds back wherever it is that you guys just agree on.
By Deontay Wilder being so silent and everything, it's dangerous.
Right.
You know, he ain't talking now. Before, people do a lot of talking. It's the quiet ones you got to watch out for.
Well, that means he's focusing. He's not caring about.
Said too.
That's what Mom said. My mother said he's being very quiet. He's away in the gym, training his off, and you need to do the same. So you got to listen to Mom.
All right. Well, thank you guys again. I appreciate it. Bye, fight fans. Hey, fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do so by clicking this icon right here and hit the bell button so you can get notified every time we upload a new video. And we also have a free app available on iTunes and Google Play. So make sure you go and download that. Bye, fight fans.